Up next on the City of Lagos TV show is one of our special personality interview session, Speaking with the SA. And our special guest is the special advisor to Mr. Governor on Taxation and Revenue, Mr. Opeyemi Ogungbo. Let's meet him. You're still watching the City of Lagos TV show. Welcome to Speaking with a Special Advisor platform on the City of Lagos TV show, where we speak with special advisors to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The essence is to verify and ascertain their level of strategic relevance and importance when it has to do with their office as special advisors. And so today we're going to be speaking with the special advisor to Mr. Governor on Taxation and Revenue. We're talking about Mr. Opeyemi Ogungbo. Mr. Opeyemi, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So, SA, to kick off this very special interview, can you give us your professional background, very precise and brief professional background? Because being a special advisor to a governor like Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu requires some level of expertise and, of course, professionalism to deliver.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Opeyemi Ogungbo. I'm the special advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on Taxation and Revenue. So before now, I've had over 2 decades experience in tax and revenue, having worked in Nigeria, West African states in taxation and revenue. So I've actually worked also in Central Africa, that's in Cameroon, West Africa, Sierra Leone, Ghana, then Nigeria. So Nigeria being a hub and a pioneer of many good initiatives. I spent a major part of my career in Nigeria and then Ghana, because I was a managing director of one of the leading revenue generating agencies that assure government revenue in Ghana for more than 10 years. So that by background, my first degree is in computer science. I also hold a master's in business administration. That is a business school of one of the renowned school in Ghana, which is Ghana Institute of Management and Personnel, called GIMPA. So I had opportunity of having several professional examination, work class for that matter. I'm fully certified by Microsoft, by Oracle, by Cisco, by ASACA, and by extension, the Project Management Institute, which is PMI. I'm also a certified project manager and currently managing portfolios, as a professional in that field. So my last employment was in fintech. I also manage the fintech that integrate all revenue collecting agencies in Lagos State. So I was the managing director of a company called TechPay, which sits into managing the integration between all banks, switches, and all that to enhance the revenue collection management for Lagos State.
So, SA, what are your key functions and responsibilities as a special advisor to Mr. Governor on Taxation and Revenue?
Basically, is to advise the already convert, because Mr. Governor, like we christen him, is Mr. Revenue. So he has appointed me to be his eye in ensuring that all our revenue collection strategies are well thought out and we do not leave any stone unturned. And somebody who constantly look at the laws, processes, procedures around revenue collection in the state. So basically to advise him on how to simplify, especially how Lagosian interact with Lagos State through their contribution of taxes and other revenues in the state. So basically, I am advising on how Lagosian will pay seamlessly their own that very dear contribution to the development of our dear state.
The Lagos Revenue Portal was recently launched by the state governor. What was the rationale behind the portal, and to what extent has the brilliant initiative improved tax administration and revenue collection in Lagos State?
Lagos Revenue Portal is an idea whose the time has come and is on purpose and is to entrench integration, collaboration, reduces barriers of the citizens to the state that governs them. So no state or nation thrives without revenue, which is in form of income to run that system for infrastructural projects, schools for our children, healthcare services, and security of life, property, and businesses. So all these thrives on a well laid out strategy to collect the revenue. But Mr. Governor now realizes that in ensuring that our people interact and pay seamlessly, there need to be a system which allows them end to end. So LRP is developed and deployed to manage the way our people, which is citizens, the payer, especially those that want to pay, simplify the way they make their payments by aggregating all payments that is uniquely tied to an individual on a single platform without necessarily moving around to say who has given that payer bill or where have they paid, how did they get their receipts, even when at the point of payment they did not get their receipts. So when you go to LRP, you can download your receipts. You can get your historical remittances that you have made to the government. You can request on that same platform reversal. Maybe you have wrongly paid to another agency of government when you meant to pay to another one. So you are also having opportunity. And administratively, it gives the MDAs that unique opportunity to view what transactions those stakeholders in terms of payers have done. Also manages other stakeholders like bank, technical partners, payment gateways, and all that. So that's the essence of LRP for short.
Okay, as the special advisor to Mr. Governor on taxation and revenue, what are the innovative efforts and approach being explored to collate accurate, because this is very key, accurate, reliable, and usable data for effective tax administration and revenue collection in the state?
Thank you. The first thing is no proper decision making can be achieved without even having a very reliable database. So in our strategy to ensure that we have a uniform and standard approach, to be able to have reliable information, to be able to know, prioritize areas and people, and so many others. So we have also tried to introduce what we call unique identification for our payers. So you see, in a quest to address the multiple creation of payer IDs, because a lot of our people do not necessarily cram what we call their payer ID. Payer ID is that ID that you use in making payment to Lagos and for Lagos services. So we have also introduced that payer ID is not essential. Essential in the sense that you use your NIN or your Lastra ID to be able to identify uniquely our payers. And what that means is that payers are not able to go back to their previous transactions and future transactions as an entity. And that will now, cascade into now having a very robust data analytics platform where demography, areas, interests, stakeholders will now be identified, and that can help the government in their proper decision making. And this also is fed into our Lagos Revenue Portal. Beyond that, we also try to play a very concern into engagement. We realize that even whilst payers are trying to pay to government, so they find it very difficult to have 24/7 interaction. So we have also, within the revenue generating MDAs, deploy what we call revenue artificial intelligence chatbot, which will respond to all the payers' queries, questions, clarifications, even retrieval of their receipts and all that, online real time, 24/7. So it's this deliberate system that we have deployed to assist our teaming payers while interacting with the government.
Okay, thank you very much, Special Advisor. Now, Governor Oyedepo Sanwo-Olu-led government has been heavy on diverse infrastructural development, so which has actually also led to huge expenditure with significant success. So what are those strategic, innovative ideas and approach initiated to ensure a sustained progress?
We have been very deliberate and intentional about what we do. So when you look at budget trajectory, it has always grown from around close to 1 trillion to more than 1 trillion to over 2 billion or 2 trillion. Now we are over 3 trillion. So what that means is that we are not unaware of the fact that Lagos, because of our influx, we have peculiar challenges in terms of number of people that we need to cater for, the pressure on our infrastructure, the need for us to provide additional services. So we now factor some of these new initiatives to, without necessarily burdening our people, but rather widening the tax net. We are very mindful of the fact that certain number of people needs to be captured within the tax net or our bracket, so which hitherto are not being there. So it's a moral responsibility, is a social responsibility, is a civic responsibility. So we are going to use various approaches, like we're rebranding, we're trying to educate the payers that is a contribution to our collective future. We are revamping, so we are optimizing the current system to ensure that it meets the goal of our dear states and the goal of international best practice. And we're also rewarding, identifying individuals, companies, corporate institutions that are doing well to contribute to what we do as a Lagos. We have trust fund, we have various interventions, and there are corporate institutions that assist us even on CSR basis. So all these stakeholders, we're not, overlooking their contribution to them. These are the strategies that can scale, and ultimately we now have a system that's been simplified, that is now looking out to bring every stakeholders together so that we have the value that we all crave for in the state.
Mr. Opeyemi Ogungbo, the Special Advisor to Mr. Governor on Taxation and Revenue on the City of Lagos TV show. Now, SA, it will be very important to ascertain the nature of partnership, collaboration, and synergy between your office and critical stakeholders, talking about agencies and ministries, to achieve your set objectives.
That's very critical. And I mentioned earlier, so I spoke about engagement. So engagement comes in twofold. We have that our internal engagement with our stakeholders, and we have external. So all of this is a cardinal strategy that we've used in order to sustain the growth. So I've mentioned the role of partnership. When you look at the slogan of Mr. Governor, Igbega, Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe ni, what that means is it is a collaborative effort of all stakeholders, both internal and external. Deliberately, all the revenue generating agencies, Mr. Governor calls us every month for revenue stakeholders meeting. What that means is that we do peer reviews, we exchange ideas, you give us what you are doing that others do not know about. So we also, find a way of aggregating our points so that even our data within the ambit of the law is also shared as a one government to ensure that we are working together, we're moving. We are also looking at the harmonization of some of our related revenue areas, which covers, reducing number of agencies that visit an entity for the purpose of tax or revenue. So these are systems that Mr. Governor has put in place to ensure that there's collaboration, there's efficiency, there's transparency, there's consistency, and there's standardization amongst all its agencies and partners.
Lagos is a cosmopolitan city with a huge population. And I know one challenge will be the ability to bring an appreciable percentage of people within the tax net. And so compliance is a major issue in Lagos. So what are you doing in terms of sensitization or innovative strategies to make sure the government is not losing?
Thank you. One of the environment or platform is this show. So we are getting to the people and we are sending warnings to recalcitrant payers. We are using this platform like many others. We have tax talk. We have all of us, we are talking because we can't talk enough to ensure that we educate the people that your contribution by paying your taxes or exchange taxes or revenue, it's for our collective goal. We also demonstrate physically. In the recent time, you will see that Mr. Governor is trying to open up many of the infrastructure. We're trying to ensure that the taxpayers' money now reflects the development that we're seeing around and in Lagos. What that means is to ensure and send signal to the people. But Mr. Governor is very high and do not mince word around us working towards voluntary compliance. So by the time the people see what we're doing with the money, the little money we have, and we're seeing these massive projects, the payers will be forced to understand that we need to support the government more. So on that note, we feel that we need to talk more. We need to put and build more enforcement by compliance. Enforcement by compliance means that there's some system that we are putting in place to ensure that you deliberately want to fulfill your obligation rather than being forced to it. But that does not mean to say that the government will not come after you if you did not do the right way. We're also looking at how to enforce some of our laws.
What is the strategy for enforcement?
Basically, is to, one, you have to go through the process of reminders, sending demand notice, reminders, and then go to court. And when you go to court, then you get restraint order. You can now act based on that order to either sell off the property, pull lien of the property, and so on. But we are sending signal that we must comply because government is very strong around ensuring that nobody is left behind. So that's why we're going through this effort. Though it's a last resort, but we're going to say that we are coming after those people that refuses to oblige or pay for the either service that they have sworn to do or that we all agreed to pay, or the taxes that need to be deducted from our various earnings as a state to the legitimate body that is approved to collect those levies.
Virtually every resident in Lagos gets their Lastra card. not everybody has the Lastra card. I thought that could be a strategy that can also help you create some level of data to be able to capture a very large percentage, because we know that average of 3,000, 4,000 people come into Lagos every day, and they're coming to do business, making money. So it's expected that they should comply.
There is limited enforcement you can do into the influx in and out of the state because we are subnational. So, that's where we are find ourselves. And we're trying to work within the ambit of the law. But that does not mean to say that our identity survey, which is a Lastra for our residents, is ongoing. From the last count, Lastra is that system that have been put in place that simplifies their mode of registration, reduces bottlenecks and all that around their operation. So we're doing so much around that. But eventually, there will be an incentive for being a resident of Lagos. So that's what we can do. That's what law permits us to do. For people who reside in Lagos and registered with Lagos. For instance, if there's any intervention from the government, there are services either in the hospital or in our schools and co. Of course, we'll give priority to our people. And who are the people, those people that have registered with our recognized system.
Thank you very much. So what are those challenges you currently have identified? I know in the course of discussion, you've also mentioned some of these challenges, but what are the creative ways you've been able to mitigate against these challenges?
Some challenges are, internal, while some are external. Some of the challenge that we'll call external is basically around our people. Those, if you don't want to pay, of course, you find 1,000 and way means to prove that you cannot pay. Some hide under the pretense of, we have not even seen what government is doing. So we deploy more education, more visibility to what we do, because a lot of people say that we are not talking enough, we're not engaging enough, and the likes. So some claims that we don't even have feedback system. So you can see that there are additional feedback mechanisms that were put to engage our citizens. So you can see various programs, systems that government has put in place deliberately to engage the public because they hide under, I did not see this. So also systems. We also find a way of introducing systems that simplifies the way the public interacts with us. We introduce different channels of payment. If you cannot go to the bank branch, you can pay online using multiple channels of payment and many more. We have engaged through the local government to the CDA, CDC, community leaders and co. The budget process has always been bottom up by asking from the streets to community to the state and the likes. So these are areas and bottlenecks that people feel that this is why I don't even know how they calculate my rate and co. We have made it open. So we have made your billing. You don't need to stay and wait for an agent to bring the bill for you. So go to your LRP and see the bills that have generated insofar as you have used your unique identification and many more. So it is a way to reduce some of these challenges and bottleneck so that we can interact more with the people of Lagos and so that Lagos can pay. It's a very difficult task because, to know how people behave, go and create a group on WhatsApp and you see that it's very tough. But because we have elected to carry on these mandates, so we take it upon ourselves through the mandate of Mr. Governor and Mr. Deputy Governor to ensure that we continuously give the people of Lagos what they really desire.
So, Ese, how would you describe the level of support your office has gotten from the governor?
Oh, to be honest, I can say that it's marvelous, it's unprecedented. I've worked with several bosses, and my boss is very amazing. He has given leadership, he has given direction, he has encouraged us, not only me, in many occasions where he take bold step and encourage us to take audacious steps in ensuring that some of these things that we're saying, of course, tax is not something that people like to do, but because of the nature of Mr. Governor, we are all out to tell people that this is what we are doing. He said you should continue to talk to them, continue to simplify the process, continue to encourage them, and that's what we have done. So in short, Mr. Governor has been wonderful. That's why we christened him Mr. Revenue, because he leads the revenue collection from the front, not from behind.
Lagos State, under Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, considering the Themes Plus agenda, is very heavy on infrastructural development. Lagos is a construction site at every point in time. Looking at the huge infrastructural projects engaged in by this government, is it commensurate with what is actually coming in? Because the infrastructural projects gulps billions of naira. Juxtapose that with what is coming in. Is it commensurate, really?
When you look at what the last presentation that is yet to be passed by Mr. Governor, Mr. Governor presented over 3 trillion as a budget size, where the IGR and other financing mechanism like FAC allocation and co, is meant to fund that budget. But to say that is enough, I can say no. Because when you look at our GDP to revenue, you'll see that we should be doing around 7 to 8 trillion in terms of what we require or what we need to do. But what's the capacity? How many entity are we able to get those revenue from is a question. How many legitimate business prospects, are we able to get those things without necessarily taxing poverty, without necessarily taxing ideas, but rather taxing return on those investments? So when you look at what we really require, so the answer is we're not getting enough. But the question is, are we working towards that? Yes. Are we putting system in place to actualize that? Yes. Are we, expected to get more? Yes. So, but we are not there yet. And that's where we are working towards. So definitely we'll get there. And we also leave a legacy for the incoming administration. So, we're laying a very good foundation. From our last summit, the representative of the Honorable Minister for Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy alluded to, we have just woken up to Lagos 2.0, meaning that we are now going beyond ordinary collection of revenue to now going geometrically in terms of revenue collection, because we are going to be moving away from what we used to do, but with all this system put in place, with all this game-changing strategy, so we're going to be astronomical in terms of our numbers, and that's why we're looking very...
Okay. Will PPP also try to soften the ground?
Yes, our PPP model is evident in what we do with Lamata, just a newly signed energy bill, through our circular economy, some of the revenue initiatives. So certainly PPP is the way to go, is the way to assure government revenue, is to assure partnership and leveraging capacity of even the partners. So Lagos is open to PPP in a way and manner that helps our system without necessarily jeopardizing the future of our people.
Thank you very much, Ese. Now, what are the future progressive initiatives and efforts of the government to shore up your tax revenue base?
One, when you look at the tax bill and the new tax reform, so we are very proactive around ensuring that once it's finally passed, it's not going to caught Lagos unaware. You're going to be putting a deliberate effort in our data management. We're going to be playing on big data. We're going to be playing big on our artificial intelligence. We're going to be building, because we're building economy now. We're building digital economy. We're building, remote working. We're building so many economy around even energizing our environment. So there is going to be direct and indirect revenue from the activities that tourism, we're not building tourism to the world-class standard. We are very intentional about our agriculture. So we want to become the African hub, where the entire Africa refer to Lagos, Nigeria, as a food basket in terms of logistics hub and all that. So these various, we have our various multi-modal transport system where we're introducing air, road, rail. We are building a very strong digital networks that allows for development of content, the more and co. Innovations around entertainment. So we are building all this, and we are not also oblivious of the fact that pressures will come by the time we make Lagos further interest of our people, even in Africa, beyond Nigeria. So we are aware of what is coming, and we're planning very seriously about the future of Lagos.
Special Advisor to Mr. Governor on Taxation and Revenue. It's been quite inspiring and expository. We never knew it was going to turn out this way, because he's been able to a large extent, put into proper perspective the approach by the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu government to make everything possible to deliver the dividends of democracy to Lagosians through taxation. And of course, that buttresses the point that Lagos is rising indeed. And so finally, SA, what's your word of assurance to Lagosians, partners, with regards to Governor Sanwo-Olu's meeting up with their expectations?
Yes, I want to humbly ask Lagosian that we want your continuous support. We want your continuous patronage. We want your continuous contribution to the quota, which is what administration of Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu stands on. Your mandate is taken very seriously. Mr. Governor did not take it for granted. Hence, the reason why he's putting a lot of effort in ensuring that life is better, the environment is safer, the systems are simplified, and you are not harassed. So on this note, we want to welcome all of you again to Lagos where your taxes and revenue is showing and is growing, and your contribution is to our collective future. Please continue to support us, because ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó àjùmọ̀ṣe gbogbo wa ni.
Essay to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on taxation and revenue, Mr. Opeyemi Ogungbo, has said it all. I want to thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For giving us the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you,
and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on Speaking with the SA platform on the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria.